Hello everyone, welcome. Today's video is going to be a review of a recent letter released by the Guardians of Cardano that goes deeper into the happenings at the Cardano Foundation and the business dealings with Michael Parsons and what could be possibly going on at the Cardano Foundation due to a lack of information coming out. There's also a diagram created by the Guardians of Cardano. This is to assist the community with conducting their own open investigation to find out what's happening with the Cardano Foundation, because we all have a lot of money invested. Anyone watching this video, anyone involved in the Cardano community has money invested and time invested in the Cardano project. Some of the partners are doing quite well. Emergo and IOHK are doing a great job. We're all wondering what is going on with the Cardano Foundation. So let's start by taking a look. This is going to be like a brief guided tour. I'm going to take a look at the website, encourage you to go there and look at more information yourself, give you a brief tour of it to see what's available there. So I'm going to start by going to the Guardians of Cardano website. It's at guardiansofcardano.com. When you open the web page, the first open letter is here. Again, the first open letter has not been answered. There's some links to reactions in the media. And open letter number 2, also shown here. You can go to the investigation button. It pulls up a diagram of Michael Parsons and all the business relationships he has. You can download the open letter from here and download the graphic diagram of the business relationship so that you can get more information on what's happening. Below those, you got 3 items here: the letter, the graphic, and a timeline that has relevant information and relevant research that was done by the Guardians of Cardano and laid out in this timeline view. As you scroll down, these are the earlier years, and you get to the bottom. As you read through this research and read through the timeline about the development of the Cardano Foundation and who's involved with the development, then there are additional pages showing once Cardano ICO'd, the timeline continues with who all's involved with the Cardano Foundation, followed by the research being conducted by the businesses who are associated with Michael Parsons and the Cardano Foundation in some way. So don't forget to go to the bottom and continue going through the timeline to see how things progressed and links to the research that's been conducted. So let me get to kind of a meat of it here. I have on my desktop here, I've downloaded the graphic. Let's get a better view. And the letter itself. So here we have the graphic diagram. 5 key players here. We have Mr. Michael Parsons on the right-hand side, chairman of the Cardano Foundation. Lines connecting him to other businesses. Then large gray swaths showing the general relationship between each person and all the businesses they're associated in between. So you got Michael Parsons, Mr. Bob McDowell, Mr. John McGuire, Mr. Michael Manelli, Professor Michael Manelli, and Mr. Richard Odell Polden over here on the left-hand side. And so we come back over to Mr. Michael Parsons, chairman of the Cardano Foundation, and you can see, although there's just general relationship, there's business relationships, and this is how business generally gets done. These ties are probably okay, but here in this large gray swath, he's connected to Mr. Joe McGuire through multiple detailed lines where he is a co-owner in Zaru.com, as long as John McGuire is also an owner. They're both members of a board here, and they're both owners here. So you can see each of these lines shows the relationship and what businesses they're tied to, and through these multiple businesses, there's a general business relationship between these 2 people. Now, the relationships go in other directions too. And the reason we bring up these relationships is Cardano Foundation money is being used for research and the business development that is supposed to be promoting the Cardano project and the Cardano ecosystem, and not necessarily all these other projects. Although they can be a side benefit, it would be nice to see some direct benefits to Cardano to start with, or if someone could at least explain this to the community and say, this is how all these different businesses and all these different connections benefit the Cardano system, that would be very helpful. So as you can see, Mr. Parsons is also connected to Mr. Michael Minetti Mr. Michael Mainelli, professor, through ZN Long Finance and other connections here, being a vendor, as an owner of Zaru, then a vendor from ZN Long Finance through that company, and so on. So all the different connections here kind of spell out the relationships, and you can see that. So you can delve further into this diagram, then compare this to the timeline, and see how all these businesses are connected and where that funding can be going, that's supposed to be creating progress for the Cardano ecosystem. So I'm going to look at lots of details. It would take me way too long to explain. You'd be better off reading that information yourself on the website, and you can download this and look it up. Also in the letter, so copy the letter. This is letter number 2. The first letter has gone unanswered. Second letter, some key points are highlighted in bold here. This first part, that there's been disturbing, heartbreaking silence for almost 3 weeks. Now that's 3 weeks since the first letter released by the Guardians of Cardano. It's really been since like mid to late August when these questions first started popping up in the forum, in certain parts of the forum, then started coming together in September. Now the entire month of October has gone by and still no answers, okay? It goes on to the next paragraph there that phrases a key thing in bold here. Why would you phrase a foundation charter with a loophole that will technically allow you to spend resources of the foundation on initiatives not directly benefiting the Cardano ecosystem? And this information is brought out in the research that you can find on the Guardians of Cardano website. Okay, so these areas in bold kind of highlight each of the main paragraphs. Another one here is, why would you not open a real office in Zug, Switzerland? The Cardano Foundation was basically operating from a letterbox in Zug, Switzerland, with a person with a name attached to Switzerland, but basically everything was being done out of the UK. So there was no real business development going on in Zug, Switzerland, which is the crypto valley of Europe. And there's a lot more information and questions brought up in letter number 2. So I encourage you to read through this letter and come to your own conclusions. So a few things that I wanted to summarize here from the letter and the diagrams and the timeline. Those 3 different items combined kind of paint the picture of what we're looking at here. We're trying to figure out what's going on. Is the Guardians would like to see the Cardano Foundation right itself. So I have some notes here. I'm going to have to spell it out and just kind of read it off here. We'd like to see the Cardano Foundation right itself. And the best way to do that is with some transparency and community engagement. That's very important. Some of the key issues here. Michael Parsons still hasn't answered any questions from the first letter. Most importantly, how the Cardano ICO funds are being spent on the Cardano ecosystem. The people in charge of Cardano do not appear to desire public association with Cardano. And what is this Cardano AG business that was started by Michael Parsons in March of 2018? You'll find that in the timeline. Just kind of curious what is going on there. There was a large sum of ADA that was in the wallet that is suspected to be the Cardano Foundation holdings. We don't know what it is. We think it is, but the Cardano said they would answer by the end of September. Here it is the end of October. But it was moved at the end of June 2018 to a new address, a very large sum of ADA. So we're wondering, is that still under Cardano Foundation control, or who has control of that money? There's almost zero interaction with the members of the Cardano Foundation, the organization that is charged with building community. Zero interaction is not going to work well moving forward. The only way I can imagine that they would stay so quiet is that something went wrong and a lawyer has told them to keep their mouth shut. I mean, that's really the only conclusion I can come to due to the lack of responses. If someone from the Cardano Foundation would speak up about the situation, then we would know more. And it would help put aside the speculation and the FUD. Now, as far as the research is concerned, there's another one I had. It's spelled out in the timelines and it plays out in the diagrams, is as far as the research is concerned, the ZN think tank doing the research and development within the context of distributed futures, the multiple businesses associated between Mr. Parsons and Mr. Minnelli, it's paid for. That research being done by the ZN think tank is being paid for by the Cardano Foundation through the Parsons-Minnelli relationship, which the research results are designed for, and they're reused by the ZN commercial arm, Chain ZY PLC, which is a Gibraltar-based offshore company to build very specialized products like Metronomo and Geonomo, which are some of their products, on their blockchain-like consortium platform called Chain ZY. Not sure what's going on there, but these specialized products appear to highly benefit from government support from the state of Alderney via the conflicted position of Bob McDowell being the chairman of policy and finance of the state for the state of Alderney, whatever that is. It's an island or something like that off the coast of England. Chain ZY in the meantime is looking for big investment from another company called PCG&E London, stock exchange listed penny stock company, having Mr. Polden Minnelli and Bob as directors. So there's public evidence to suggest PCG&E shareholders are unhappy with the operations and the results of PCG, feeling they've gotten ripped off, the shareholders that is. And so, you know, there's a lot of convoluted connections there, and not a clear path as to how all these relationships are going to benefit the Cardano system in some way. We'd like to see those clarified. And also, we know the purpose of the open source research is that many communities can benefit from that research. So there's going to be research going on that other areas are going to benefit from, but it just appears something has taken a wrong turn. So if we could just clarify what the purpose of that research is and how it's going to apply to Cardano, that'd be helpful. I look forward to hearing from the Cardano Foundation's responses to both the first and the second letters. And I would like to invite the community to do some research and ask some questions as well. Feel free to peruse the website, use that as a good starting point. Other than that, thank you all and have a great day. Get in there and find out what's going on with our community. Take care. Bye-bye.